Last year's world champ put on an all-star performance in the last matchup, an 8.0, a 9.4, his top two, a 9.83, and a perfect 10, deeming that a superheat, one of his best performances all season long. Talking about his return to form, looking so dangerous. With a few events remaining, all three he's done really well in, including a big win when he was a rookie, competing at the Quik Pro France for the first time. Joe Turpel alongside former world champ Martin Potter. Potts, you saw this return to form, especially here in France. You called him as an event winner. Something's changed for the better in Medina's camp. We haven't really seen him throw away excellent scores like that in a long time.
No, we haven't, Joe. I mean, that was an unbelievable performance there from Gabriel Medina, just showing us why he is a world champion. And again, one to watch towards the back part of this year. So going from that crazy heat to a couple of Brazilians in this next one, Jadson Andre, Italo Ferreira. But yeah, just throwing away 9-point rides. I mean, that's as good as it gets, Joe.
So the goofy foot continues out front, Andre and Italo Ferreira. We've been talking about this matchup so many times this season because they keep running into each other. Story goes, two close friends. Italo Ferreira was in his junior series when Jadson was already on tour. Italo looks up to Jadson a lot. They've had repeat matchups going back to Brazil at the Oi Rio Pro. They had a matchup with the Billabong Pro Tahiti. Also looking back at the Fiji Pro as well. And the rookie is undefeated against one of his best friends in the world. Last time he took him out over in Tahiti, he actually apologized to Jadson.
Yes, he did. I mean, Jadson's obviously taught this kid a lot. But you know what? Once the jersey goes on, Joe, it's business as usual, and Italo Ferreira and Jadson both understand that. Jadson's surfing pretty good, though, so I think this is going to be a great heat. Conditions are flawless right now. Just a light little breeze coming on shore, but still super clean. And, well, we saw from that last heat, aerials will be coming into play.
Now let's hear from last year's world champion, Gabriel Medina, with Chelsea Cannell.
Thanks so much, Joe. Yeah, I'm here with Gabriel, and I'm resisting the urge to ask him what on earth he had for breakfast, because I want some of that. That was a crazy heat with your friends out there. Did it feel like a free surf, and did you forget at one point that you were actually out there competing?
Yeah, it felt that was a free surfing. Surf against Wilco and always. It's just one more day, you know, like we've been doing this for a long time, you know, because you always stay in the same house because we're the same team, brand team, and yeah, it's pretty sick. I don't know, I had a lot of fun there, got the 10 and the 9. I did the air, crazy air. Maybe it was the biggest I ever done, you know, and yeah, that felt great, and feels good to be in the quarters already, and yeah, fun.
A much different event from you. You've had some lackluster finishes throughout the middle of the season. What's changed for you?
I think after the loss, you know, in the beginning of the year, I kind of felt like free, you know, like I just want to serve and try to do my best. And as I always say, I've been training a lot, same as last year, so nothing changed, you know, like maybe just the way I surf now, just like to relax, not think about world title or anything, and I just want to perform good, so yeah, I think that's the change.
Will you go back and watch this heat on the heat analyzer so you can see how ridiculous that was?
I can't wait to watch my air. I was talking to Owen, and then they're like, oh, that was pretty big. I was like, I can't wait to watch it because that was maybe the biggest air I've done, so I want to watch it. And Owen was like, if I don't get a 9 in my first wave, I'm going. I was like, nah, you have to stay, bro. And then he got 8 high, and then he stayed.
What were you thinking about while you were on that, doing that air?
I don't know. I wasn't thinking.
Could you see where you were going? They want to know.
In there? I don't know. I felt really high, and then I almost wanted to give up. I was kind of scared about breaking my board because it was a good board, and then I broke in the next wave, and I don't know. I just tried to land it. I was feeling good up there, so I tried and I made it.
The broken board definitely didn't seem to slow you down. We look forward to seeing you as you move on. Thanks so much for your time, Gabriel. We'll send it back to you guys.
Obrigado, Brasil.
Saying a big thanks to all of his fans in Brazil. Gabriel Medina saying that was the biggest air he's ever done in his life, possibly, as he's amping up to check out that review on the Heat Analyzer. You guys can go on worldsurfleague.com/Heat Analyzer and check out that big moment. Watch every heat anytime. And we're going to be watching that. Perfect 10, definitely the best maneuver of the season. We always give an award for that. But it's trying to think about the best airs done in surfing history. We went back to that alley-oop John did back at Karamas, the full rotation alley-oop that Julian did at Super Tubos, the full rotes of Kelly from New York to Bells. We'll get back to that with Italo. Sliding the tail off the roof. Nice big carve. Ton of speed and drive off the bottom, hammers it off the lip, jams the fins out and controls it forward. Now running into the inside, snaps it. Inside section's been a little bit tricky. Slaps it out, pop, shove it. Ferreira's fired up to take control of this heat. Jadson heading the same direction. A couple of nice controlled snaps. Looking to use the lip here. Nice and straight up. Just a little setup slash, and he's out of there. Remember, Jadson looking for his first win off of Italo Ferreira. Ferreira already on the board with a 7.33 with 21.54 remaining.
Yeah, Italo's looking fired up, especially after that Gabriel Medina heat just before. You know, and that's what's happened. I mean, you look at what Gabriel's done by winning the world title, first Brazilian ever to do so. He's got all his fellow countrymen just absolutely on fire. Italo Ferreira, rookie on tour, not surfing like it. Feels comfortable surfing against Jadson. Obviously a bit of pressure relief, but surfing incredibly well. Just slamming this wave all the way through the inside. And that was his opening wave of 7.33. This is his wave that he's just opened up on as well. So this is going to be another great score for Italo Ferreira. Look how hard he is turning. Really strong kid. Throwing some variety into there. Just sliding that board almost all the way around. Italo Ferreira on fire here against Jadson Andre. Jadson's got his work cut out and is going to have to really dig deep to come back. This was Jadson's answer to Italo's wave. Beautiful top turn right there. Conditions are absolutely perfect right now, Joe. Just not a bump on the face of the ocean. That board is able to just drive through these beautiful conditions. Jadson Andre opening up with a beautiful wave here. Snaps it off the top at the end. So answers back to Italo Ferreira. This heat is on.
Still 20.5 remaining in this all-Brazilian battle. Winner of this heat will move on to the quarterfinals to face off with Julian Wilson. You think about the world title race, Julian in that top 5 picture, already through the quarters. Fanning number 1 in the world, quarter 2. Number 2 in the world, De Souza in quarter 3. Medina just won a few spaces back on that world title race. Interesting things have happened in the back half, so we'll even keep an eye on Medina with 3 events remaining in this one. Very exciting to think about what could unfold. Jadson's big goal right now is just to get past Ferreira in a matchup like this. When you break them down, they're both goofy footers. Why does Italo continue to take out Jadson in big heat spots?
I think it just comes down to wave selection, Joe. I just think being on the right wave, and that's what it takes out here. I mean, obviously you need the canvas to draw your lines on. Some waves hit the bank perfectly and just sort of slow up and allow you to just unload some big turns. We saw that happen on Italo's last ride as well as his first one, so he's going to drop 2 good scores to kick things off. I think you've got to be able to just drop down and do those backside snap after snap, and I think Jadson's wave went a little fat, so he had to do more cutbacks, and that's just not what you want. You want those ones that have got that steeper transition and just allow for more dynamic maneuvers.
Well, Italo Ferreira is from Bahia Formosa. It's about 90 kilometers south from where Jadson's from in Natal City. It's a smaller city than where Jadson's from, but does have better quality waves. That little right-hand runner that he has to spar on. You look at conditions today, you can tell why he's so dangerous. When you mention Potts, I have to be ready for everything here in France. We saw Felipe Toledo go down in a challenging day to Maxime Husseneau, but then you're looking at this playing field we have for this day in action. Toledo would be dying for a heat in conditions like this.
Yeah, he would have just been, he would have paid a lot of money to still be in this event right now. This kind of conditions play right into Toledo's hands. So Gabriel keeping the fans happy. All of a sudden became very popular. He's been popular here for many years though, winning on his first year on tour here against Julian Wilson. He is going to be dangerous if he can continue that kind of form.
And that popularity you're talking about, Potts, we mentioned the huge move on his Instagram following, cracking 1 million after he won his world title. Well, now he's at 3.3 million followers. One of the most popular humans in the world, let alone surfers. And you see that return to form, which makes it so exciting. A 19.83 total. He got into 19 totals back in Tahiti in one heat. A 19.83. That's almost perfection. As we look at Jadson, a lot of speed, big whip to start. Controlled bottom turn, little down carve. Now setting up the lit to hit. Chips it off the lip as Italo will start on the next wave. Sticking with Jaddy. Some big hooks and a nice vertical finish. He'll get out of there, and then sliding out on the next move is Ferreira. Previous ride of Jadson was a 7.4. Ferreira locked in an 8.0. So Andre was chasing a 7.94 on that last wave.
Yeah, so it's going to be a close heat. I mean, that last wave from Jadson, I thought was maybe a little bit better than his 7.40. Just, you know, that wave had a bit more steepness to it, so it allowed him just multiple backside snaps. You know, once Jadson gets that mojo happening, once he finds that groove, he can be very deadly. So he's just got to keep busy, you know, just got to keep plucking away, try and put a little bit of pressure on Italo. And I think that's what Italo's been beating Jadson, because Jadson hasn't really gone for the jugular. Italo Ferreira just playing his game and surfing incredibly well, just goes for a little bit too much right there, catches that outside rail, got a little bit too much drift in the fins. This is Jadson's wave. More of an inside one, but these are sometimes are the ones you want. See how it's got more vertical face, so it allows him to go up and crack that lip. And that's where the judges want to see the board. They want to see that board get nice and vertical. I think the more vertical it gets, the better the points are going to be. So Jadson right there, fighting his way back into the heat. 7.40 on the wave before. That's going to be another good score from Jaddy.
Jadson Andre, a bit of a fighter. He actually has some good friends that are fighters for trade. Like spending a lot of time in the gym, and Jadson's learned a lot about that, preparing his body. Different strength technique when it comes to surfing. Got to stay loose, wants to stay radical above the lip, but puts in a ton of time along with the equipment. I remember back at a QS in Saquarema a couple of years back, he had about 22 boards he was trying to work out. He's been trying to figure out which one was the magic one. Riding RM surfboards for a long time, but then they have such a great relationship. Jadson's allowed to ride something different here and there, and returns the feedback to try to find the secret weapon.
Yeah, it's so important, isn't it? I mean, you've seen the difference that it makes. You just got to look at Jeremy Flores. Kind of struggled for the last few years with equipment, and then finally this year JS got him some weapons, and he's been lighting it up, winning the event over there at Chopu, so getting himself back in that top 10 situation. Surfboards are the tool of the trade, and you've got to have good ones, that's for sure.
That's right. Well, right now Jadson's 20th in the world, just inside the cut to qualify. 22 is the cutoff mark. Looking at his 5th year on tour, he fell off and then was able to re-qualify with the big win in Cascais. As we remember, though, he was the winner of the CT in Brazil. Had some big heats along the way. Took out Kelly Slater in a final. It was a long left-hand setup at Imbituba that finals day. He got to feature that forehand reverse sometimes once, sometimes 7 times on the same wave, it seemed like.
Yeah, I mean, he had it on just on lock, didn't he? 7.0 for Jadson Andre, coming in just under his previous wave. So Jadson's still looking for that 7.94. you know, when you surf a wave to death and then you hear you didn't get the score, sometimes you've got to dig a little deeper. You know, you've got to just let it hang out even that much more. Jadson is one guy that can do that.
Now Jadson driving hard off the bottom. Perfect connection off the top. Nice backhand carve in the pocket to keep the flow alive. Mid-face fade, and now set up the inside corner. Breathes a bit off the top with the backwash. Snaps it down to the bottom. Jams it again. Multiple backhand turns, which for Jadson Andre trying to get a 7.94 to steal the lead off one of his best friends on tour. His last 2 waves were in the 7 range, so he's right there, just a little more to turn it. 7.94. Do you feel a big difference on that last wave, Potts?
Well, let's have a look at Italo's first. Italo Ferreira snaps off the top, driving off the bottom, right there. That's what the judges want to see, but not those wipeouts. You know, I think Jadson's wave, when you watch it right here, opening turn, beautiful, straight up through the lip. Then he comes out on the open face and then draws back into the power source there. You need to get that board a bit more vertical. Those turns right there, the judges don't really want to see that. They want to find you going up into the lip, throwing a lot of spray out the back. I mean, Jadson surfed this wave to death. Probably couldn't have done any more on that situation right there, but is that going to be enough to get that 7.93? I think it's in the same kind of ballpark as his last 2 waves.
So Jadson not backing down, looking for a quarterfinal berth here at the Quiksilver Pro France for the 2nd consecutive year if he can't achieve that. But Ferreira starting off with the lead. Talked about Jadson's boards. We got Italo riding Timmy Patterson surfboards. Thinking Timmy, a lot of legends have been on his equipment for many years. He's out of Southern California. And Ferreira 7.33, 8.0. His boards always look really, really sharp.
Yeah, I love Timmy Patterson's boards. Was lucky enough to get one back when I was on tour. Took it to Reunion, St. Lou, rode it, got a 10-point ride, and then snapped it on the next wave. Thing was amazing. Tried to put it back together, but it just never quite went the same. So, yeah, Timmy Patterson's definitely out of San Clemente, makes some weapons, that's for sure.
Definitely. What a heartbreaking moment. Get a magic board, and you want to have that thing last forever. These things these days now are so light, often lighter glassing jobs than what you see in a retail shop. These guys just want boards that they can push super hard. And when you look at Italo and Jadson, they go to the air so often. No wonder they go through so many surfboards.
Well, you know, you could sort of look at it like, you know, race cars where, you know, the average person goes into a car dealership and buys a car. It has a certain weight behind it. It's made to last. You know, you look at, you know, Formula One. The cars are made out of super light carbon fiber and, you know, really high performance, and that's what the pros have got. They've got these boards that literally will last them one event. You know, they kind of virtually dissolve in water. So, you know, you've got to have multiple backups for them. They want to have that super light, that really spontaneous feel behind it. So they don't want them too heavy, they don't want them too thick, and they want them to fly. Here we go.
Catching up to this wave. Rookie Italo Ferreira just up and out. Numbers dropping in from Jadson's last attempt, a 7.67. So he's had repeat 7 range scores and still not quite getting enough to turn this heat. 15.07 total to 15.33 by the smallest margin. The panel has Italo out in front, courtesy of that 8-point ride. Now 10.22 to go. Let's see how Jadson's going to change his game. Repeat 7s. What would you be thinking, Potts?
Well, I'd be thinking go out the back, get priority, wait for the bomb, and surf outside my skin. I mean, he's got the moves. He's just got to get himself on the right wave. I think there was a little. I mean, 2 judges gave him the nod there, an 8.2 and an 8.3, but then the other 3 judges came underneath, so that's why that averaged out to a 7.67. So Jadson just needs to get that board a little bit more vertical a couple of more times. I think those sort of horizontal turns, I don't think the judges are liking that. So he's got to listen to the scores, adjust, and give them what they want to see.
You can see Italo Ferreira at the top of the Rookie of the Year race this season, inside the top 10, and the last rookie still in the running here at the Quiksilver Pro France. Wiggly Dantes is in the next closest spot. He went down relatively early in a pretty challenging matchup. We saw some brilliance from Keanu Singh in this event, taking out Joel Parkinson once again this season. He's had some big heats. We wish Matt Banting a speedy recovery. He kind of was hoping he'd be back by now. That injury that he got back at J Bay. Matty, hope you're healing up well and that we see you soon. It's hard these days when you have an injury like that. You think about what Jordy's been going through, Michel Perez, him getting hurt this season. You can't just count on a wild card spot for the next season.
No, well, there's a lot of guys hurt. Even John went through that as well, some injuries this year. So, it seems like every year we see more and more guys getting injured. I think the way these guys are surfing, you just got to look at that last hit with Gabriel Medina. He said there was a moment there through that backside aerial that he kind of wanted to almost throw it away in case he hurt himself or broke his board. So that can happen very easily.
Looking at 8:25 to go. A repeat matchup with two good friends, both goofy foots from Brazil, and it's Italo trying to stay undefeated over Jadson Andre. We'll be right back for more at the Quicksilver Pro after this. Good afternoon. You're watching the Quicksilver Pro Round 5, Heat number 1, just getting underway. We have 4 big heats trying to get into the quarterfinals. Coming up next, B. Durbridge takes on Kolohe Andino. Local boy Jeremy Flores has Owen Wright in Round 5, Heat number 3. Then Matty Wilkinson from Copacabana in Australia takes on Hawaiian John Florence. All looking for a spot into the quarterfinals. John still acting as a defending champ at this event. As you look at guys with a lot of success here in France. Wilson's final, Fanning's won 4 times. Gabriel Medina's won here before. De Souza's had a semifinal in the past, but looking over history, this hasn't really been one of Adriano's pet events. It's a different season though now. He's chasing world number 1 once again. And there's that spark and energy in his surfing, and you saw him blitz that opening wave in his round 4 matchup and showed that he's an easy contender to take this out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, 9-point roads, 9.57 on wave number 1 for De Souza. He's trying to keep up with Mick. I think that's kind of a good thing. Mick's sort of got to set the pace. Every time Mick makes it through, De Souza's got to. If he wants to keep in touch with that world title race, he's got to be there at the end when that smoke clears. As does Julian Wilson, as does Owen Wright. All these guys that are going for a world title, they've got to get minimum quarterfinals, semis, and even a win here. It will do wonders for the likes of Owen Wright and Julian Wilson. If Mick Fanning or De Souza win, it's going to be a tough one.
Now with 5:30 to go, Jadson still needs a 7.67, and he's not going to catch that wave on the inside. There's a little bit of a bigger option out the back, and they'll let that one run through. Equipment's so important. We have Pete Mel checking out Kolohe's board. What do you have, Pete?
Yeah, I just talked to Dino, which is Kolohe's dad, who is the guru of all of Kolohe's boards. Kolohe, it's nice to have, Matt Biolis and, of course, Dino doing a lot of Kolohe's boards. So he doesn't really have to even worry about it. But, what he does do is he's got a selection of probably 4 or 5, maybe even 10 boards here. But down on site, he's got 4 boards. This is one of his 3rd string here. It's just a 6.0. But right now he's riding a 5.11, the board that he did that big air on. Same board. What he's done this year is added a bit more rocker and a bit more concave in his designs. He went narrower last year, or the year before last, right? And that was really helpful for Kolohe, able to turn rail to rail, and now he's added a little bit more rocker and a little bit more concave. Kind of almost getting away from the boards that he rode through a lot of his, teenage years, and it just redefining the equipment, working so close with Matt Biolis and all of those surfers. And, I think what happens is there's a lot of translation from the boards that a lot of the guys are riding, i.e., the work that he did with, Mick Fanning and Taj Burrow, the Whiplash, and refining those types of little tweaks to Kolohe to just add to that style. So just a lowdown on what he's riding out there. 5'11", it's going to be 18.65-ish, and then just over 2.25. So he's got a little thicker as well, but narrower, just to keep that same kind of leaderage as much as foam is concerned.
Good man, Pete, as we transition right into the backhand of Italo Ferreira, looking really fast. Spicy off the top, throwing some water to the sky. Little rip off the lip. Down carve to set up the finishing move, and it'll just flow right on through. Ferreira's best score, an 8 that he got on his third strike. That'll leave Jadson Andre all alone. 3:30 remaining. Andre winding up for a big first turn. Under the lip hook, he'll recover. Right into a clean bottom turn. Vertical jam. Little down carve to set up the inside track. Under the lip hook. He'll be put behind a little bit, but he's hanging in there. He'll make it out front. Taps the float. Loves dry docking every wave if he can, and he'll go down in the gutless section. Story in this matchup, Jadson getting repeat 7s and just not quite enough to turn the heat. And now Italo finally moving from out the back to improve on a 7.33, now hitting the 3-minute mark.
Yeah, 7.33 is what Italo's trying to replace, because he knows Jadson's knocking on the door. He needs a 7.67. Wave before last, he locked in a 7.67. There was one bottom turn on that wave that was amazing. He held that rail for so long. Italo Ferreira using his priority there, off to a nice start. See the spring in his step that he's got, that slide across the lip there, showing some variety. Now he starts using that power, gouging into the face of the wave, throwing a lot of spray out the back, and then waiting for this inside section. This is so important right now. That's what's going to be the difference between these guys, is how you finish your wave. Got to start strong and finish strong. Jadson kind of got stuck on this first turn, almost lost it, but then this bottom turn. How was that bottom turn right there? He held that rail for so long, and it allowed him to get that board nice and vertical. So Jadson Andre, it's going to be a good score. I have a funny feeling, though, Italo's going to improve on his situation, and Jadson's going to need something up, maybe into that 8-point range, Joe.
What a great exchange from two great friends, both looking for a spot into the quarterfinals. Julian Wilson standing by to see what will be happening in his matchup. We'll let you know when that could possibly go down. Definitely finishing round 5 today with a big heat coming up next with B. Durbich and Kolohe Andino, and those two have had some history already in the last few seasons. Now early signs of a score starting to drift in. For Italo Ferreira, it's an 8.23. Just like he thought, Potts, he improves to a 16.23 total. So Andre needed an 8.56 on that last wave as we head into the final minute.
Yeah, kind of saw that coming, didn't we? Italo just looking free and fast. You know, he's got that real smooth transition, yet really powerful. Mixing it up, you know, that slide across the lip and then followed up by that beautiful gouging turn in the pocket. So I think at the moment Italo is getting better scores because of that. I think Jadson is doing that repeat bottom turn, top turn snap, where Italo's mixing it up a little bit, drawing a little bit of a different line. I think Jadson's got to adopt that approach.
You got to love this day of action. Big numbers going down for even the guys in second. You look at Jadson turning in multiple 7s. Last number dropping in for Jadson, and it's actually going to be one of his lower waves, a 6.33. So not close as this one's starting to wind down. And Italo Ferreira is going to stay in this undefeated position over one of his mentors and best friends, leading the Rookie of the Year race. Jadson's going to paddle off and find some space, and Ferreira is still heating up, remember, in the top 10. And you can see him now just starting to realize the moment, celebrating an amazing first year on tour.
Yeah, what a year he's having. Into the quarterfinals again. Italo Ferreira solidifying his rookie title, or his rookie race, I should say. You know, you got to feel for Jadson. Jadson fighting to stay on tour. It's kind of weird when someone's got your number, Joe. It's hard to try and reverse that.
That's right. It's crazy to see 4 straights from Italo Ferreira. Now Jaddy turning around to congratulate his good friend from the distance. Another big matchup to follow here at the Quicksilver Pro. It's a B. Durbich, Kolohe Andino matchup. I think Italo's going to take Jadson's jersey in for him. And Andre's just going to burn off a little bit of frustration. good friends on land, and Italo knows exactly what Jadson's doing right now. Gonna get a little bit of time, and we'll see him into the quarterfinals. What a dramatic day here in France. We'll be right back for more right after this. Round 5, heat number 2, just getting underway here in the southwest of France. The waves are absolutely firing, super rippable. We've seen maybe one of the best airs in history. Medina getting a 10 earlier today. Chloe had a crazy 8+ ride with a big slob against Slater in round 3. B. Durbridge coming off what a lot of competitors are calling the heat of the year for the seesaw battle with Ace Buchan, and now we're going to get a quick start. Having to move here is going to be Kolohe and Dino. A little bit deep. He's still hanging in there. Now into some clean water. Big wrapping cut back in the pocket. Driving through that top turn wrap once again. And a couple big carves to start. Now B. Durbridge to start his top turn wrap. A little forehand drive into the pocket again. Wrapping cutty for Durbo, and he's out of there. So warm-up waves for Kolohe and Bede. 26.5 left on the clock here in round 5, heat number 2. Julian Wilson will face off with Italo Ferrer in the first quarter final. And now the winner of this one will take on Mick Fanning as this event continues, and we still have sets pouring throughout the back pots.
That we do. It's unbelievable conditions here. You know, this is going to be a great heat. We've got two guys that are very different in their approach, but I think they're pretty evenly matched, to say the least. B. Durbridge just with that clinical rail-to-rail approach. Chloe and Dino, more of the innovation will come into play. Maybe he's going to try and use that. We've seen what Gabriel Medina did in his last heat. I'm sure Chloe wants to go one better than that.
You can see the matchups. Kolohe with 3 wins over Bede's 2 wins, so relatively even. They met up in Tahiti last year in 2014, non-elimination heat. That's kind of last time they saw each other in the jersey. We always focus on one-on-one matchups to get that 3-2 record. They had a quarterback in Brazil that Kolohe won as we check out this replay.
Yeah, interesting that Kolohe kept going with this one. You know, once you got caught behind the section there for quite some time, I think maybe just a warm-up wave here for Kolohe. Realised that he'd committed to it, so just kind of get a couple of turns, feel it out. Bede Durbridge behind him. We know Bede's going to get his scores. That's the thing with this guy. He's, guaranteed he's going to post a couple of top scores, and he's going to make you work really hard to beat him. He's not going to lie down and give you a win. Bede Durbridge's been surfing really well. Took Mick Fanning in good form to take him down in that last round. 5.17 to kick things off for Bede, a 3.60 for Chloe. Chloe back out the back. Here we go.
Setting up his first turn, and Dino drives hard, throw tail, reverse attempt, ends up incomplete. Started with the 3-6, beat a 5-1-7. And now with Kolohe going down, priority with Bede Durbridge, and more waves on the way. Easy takeoff for Bede. Big forehand jam in the pocket. Extends the bottom turn, rooftop float. Running down the line, he's going to float it one more time for a big finish. Backs up the 5-1-7, increasing his lead. Such a beautiful tempo. Great timing for Durbo.
There's no rushes there. It's just clean, seamless, mistake-free surfing. And that's Bede's forte. That's what makes you pay if you make any kind of mistake. Kolohe's got to be careful. How's that opening turn right there? Just lays into it, snaps it up through the lip there, and then goes for this beautiful lip line floater. A little free fall drop there, so Bede, that's going to be a good score for Bede Durbridge. I'd like to see Kolohe match him, because he can match those turns. To do that, to get a couple of good scores on the board, get his confidence up, and then go to the air, which Bede has got the airs, but not quite as close, not quite as good or as high as Kolohe can do.
So true. You think about Bede Durbridge and his career, you think about really strong points with that carve game, but he always was really proud of the flow from start to finish, starting strong and finishing a wave strong. Durbridge now 32 years of age, in a different generation from Kolohe, about 10 years older, but still keeping his game relevant each and every year. Bede doesn't look like the surfer he was when he was a rookie. He's gotten so much more powerful, and those decisions that he makes with heat strategy are impeccable to watch.
And I'd like to, find out from Pete too about that board. I'm going to talk to him later, obviously, but the board that Kolohe had, obviously his equipment's changed, got more rocker, more V, but has he got more meat in it? Because he's a big kid now. He's like Medina, where he's starting to fill out, he's starting to get stronger. Medina's gone up to 19 inches wide, 2 5/8 inches thick, and you can see the power and the drive that he gets out of his boards. I'd be interested to see if Kolohe might be looking at that aspect as well. Sometimes his boards to me can look a little small for him, kind of overpowers them. Sometimes Kelly does that same sort of thing where you watch Kelly ride a board and it almost looks too small for him because he's so powerful.
So true. That working out your equipment never ends, and it's kind of been the story of Kolohe's career. Even as a Grom, he was getting a lot of boards, 100+ boards a year, because he would go through his growth spurt. He had different needs at different times. When he was really small, they just had boards that would make sure he could get into a wave really quickly, a wider outline towards the front. When he got on tour, he started making these subtle adjustments. Even though some years he's getting 150 boards a year, Viola says he returns every single board. They're all for feedback. So sometimes I'll have a board just for a couple of surfs, they return it. His filmer, Noah Alani's on hand, and they film every single session. And one man that doesn't miss a wave that Kolohe rides is on screen on the left, Dino Andino, with longtime friend Mike Parsons.
Yeah, exactly. Have you ever had 150 boards in your life, Joe?
No chance.
If I went back and counted all the boards, I doubt in my entire career that I've had 150 boards. But Kolohe, that's what it takes these days. That's just the nature of the beast now. It's what you've got to do, and especially with all these special waves that they've got on tour. Back in my day, we had a lot of beach breaks, so you could pretty much rely on a very similar board. Now, different waves.
Now watching Andino set up this opening turn, big bottom turn, snaps it to start, draws out the bottom turn again, hammers it, tail blow, he goes down. Dino puts his head down, and now watches Bede explode on his first jam. Tail release off the top, ton of size, a beautiful carve. Holds the rail right in front of Kolohe.
Wow.
Last wave was a 7.0 for Bede. Now he's looking to better a 5.17. Kolohe's had a couple opportunities. Went for a throw tail reverse, went down, and just went down again, trying to blow the fins out. Let's see how he recovers. Still 20 minutes.
Yeah, still plenty of time. The waves are pumping, so these guys are going to get multiple opportunities. But I like the fact that Kolohe kind of stuck to the face of the wave then. I'd like to see him. He can match Bede turn for turn. At the moment, though, Bede just looking so on point. Comes off the bottom, jams it off the top there. Free fall down. Watch this turn here. Drives out of that, almost like that John turn we saw a couple of days ago. So Bede Durbridge Two massive maneuvers. That's going to be a great score. Kolohe, on the other hand, draws off the bottom here, jams it up through the lip. See how loose and how responsive that board is. Jams it again, throws the tail out, and that wave kind of rattled off. He, had to have pulled that off and into one more turn. We're looking at a big score.
You can see Dino just holding his breath. He's so proud of what his son has done in his career. Dino is just always just making sure that Kolohe just had a better upbringing than he had growing up. Dino said he had some tough times growing up in San Clemente, and he just never could ever picture Kolohe going through the same thing. Each day he just wanted Kolohe to realize how talented he is to get onto this top stage at such a young age. He wanted to qualify when he was 18. He qualified at 17, even beat his own goal. Now his goal to get into the top 10 this year. Not going his way, but we see some signs of brilliance in the last couple of weeks. Big win on the QS level. Big air against Kelly. That was a huge draw. But now against Bede, he's now trying to have to pick up the pace because gigantic numbers are about to drop in.
Yeah, I think when Kolohe's surfing in the qualifying series events that he does really well, and he backs himself. He knows he's got what it takes to win those events. Then he gets himself in these events where he thinks he's got to sort of surf better than he actually does. Maybe not backing himself as much. I think if he can have that same sort of attitude, adopt that here on the big stage, I think he'll go a long way. The kid's one of the best in the world, but just not being able to fire in these WCT events.
Meanwhile, Bede on fire, scores in for this wave a 9.33 from the panel.
Two maneuvers, and that was all due to this turn right here. Have a look at that, just driving out of that right in front of Kolohe and Dino. One judge even threw a 10 at that, Joe. 9.5, 9.5, 2 9s and a 10. Averaged out 9.33. So Kolohe, as you said, now has a lot of work to do. 16.34 two-wave total. He's just got to relax. There's plenty of time to go. 17 minutes and 40. The waves are pumping. Kolohe's just got to get one solid wave, finish off on his feet, get that confidence back.
Kolohe coming from such an exciting generation. He loves having battles with guys like John Florence, but now battling with a seasoned vet who has him in a combination spot. Bede Durbridge a 9.33 as he keeps that tradition alive here in France. Bede had a couple of 9s to take out Ace. Didn't win his round 4 matchup, got set here, but for another surf and dreamy conditions here in France. No wonder you moved to your pots. It's pumping.
It's absolutely pumping, isn't it? You can imagine a few years ago there was a lot less guys in the water as well, so able to get more waves. Here goes Kolohe having a look at this one.
Trying to break the combination. First snap off the top. He's got some drive, looks comfortable. He's looking to ramp up. Now clear for takeoff. Tail high reverse. Incomplete. 16:40 left for Andino to figure out a brand new game plan. Kind of came on tour early and Parsons was there each and every heat. Still helps him out like an uncle these days. But now Mike's got a lot going on. Lakey Peterson coaching on the women's side. Still helps him with big wave knowledge, because that's what Parsons famous for. Sometimes Dino just likes to add an extra person into the mix. Sometimes it's a little too close for him. He's the dad. It's a bit emotional when he goes through a tough loss.
Yeah, well, you want to be there for your son. Being a dad, you don't want to be yelling at him and trying to coach him and sort of mentor him. But sometimes you just need to be the dad. That shoulder to cry on. That keep your chin up, son. Stick that chest out. Be proud of what you've achieved. And Kolohe's just got to think about it. Listen to the beach commentary. 16.34. That's not a huge two-wave total. A couple of 8s and he's back in the game. Kolohe's well capable of dropping big scores like that. He's just got to make sure that he finishes off a wave and gets that ball rolling. He's got 15 minutes and 35 seconds remaining, so plenty of time, Joe.
A ton of time. All these guys want to get a spot into the quarterfinals to compete later on in this event. A solid wave out the back is setting up for Bede Durbridge. Driving through that first bottom turn. High line wrap, stepping on the gas. A clean forehand float. Quick reaction, another lip line floater, and he stomps it. Bede Durbridge is on fire here in the southwest of France, trying to improve on a 7-point ride. Courtney loves it. What a showcase of talent for the Australian, formerly in the top 5 in the world. Now let's hear from Italo Ferrer, who's with Chelsea Cannell.
Just had a very close heat against one of his best friends on tour, Jadson Entre, and you ultimately took the win. Congratulations on that. I imagine it's an emotional win for you, though, knowing that if you win, you send your friend Jadson home.
Yeah, that's so hard competing with Jadson, you know. It's like, I think it's the fourth time with Jadson, and I won. So I'm so stoked. I just do my best always, you know. And the wave, it's pumping right now, and I got a good some waves, 8 points and 8 points. So I'm stoked.
And you're going to match up in round 5 against Julian Wilson, who's been on an absolute tear. How will you prepare for that heat?
I think that's what hard heat, you know. So, but I do my best, and thanks God for the moment, and that's it.
All right, we'll let you get prepared. We're looking forward to that one. We'll send it back to you guys.
Thank you, Chelsea. Italo Ferreira stays undefeated. 4 straight wins over Jadson Andres. He's back in the quarterfinals and just about sealing the deal in this Rookie of the Year race. As we now check out this last wave from Bede Durbridge, Potts.
Yeah, good solid wave here from Bede. He's just been in good rhythm, you know, and I think that goes a long way when you're coming up against someone like Kolohe. Have a look at this floater right here. Lip line, free fall drop, nice and critical. Judges still having a think about that, wanting to see that replay. Look at the bottom turn that sets everything up. That's one of the most important maneuvers you will ever do. So make sure you do it right. Bede off the bottom again. Look at this free fall drop right there. Front foot slips just a little bit. Critical stuff there. You can really hurt yourself if you don't come down properly on those kind of maneuvers. So Bede about to lock in another bomb, Joe.
Scores starting to drift in for Bede Durbridge. Remember, Kolohe and Dino has already comboed before that last wave from the Australian. Now the combo increases. It's an 8.97 for Bede. Kolohe now needs a combination of 18.31 on 2 new waves. Side scores are in the 3 range at the moment for Falls, going for broke on big blowtail opportunities. Thing is, there's still 12:30 remaining. He's capable of big scores on single maneuvers from that same generation like Medina. Now it's time to use it, Potts.
Now it's time to let it all hang out, Joe. I mean, before he needed a couple of 8s to get back in. Now he needs a couple of 9s. So things are getting a little tougher for Kolohe. So the pressure's off. I mean, okay, just relax into it, go for it. You know, make sure this next one, make it count, you know. Find that rhythm again. He's kind of been sort of a little bit, timing's been a little bit off. Made a couple of little mistakes, maybe trying a bit too hard. You know, when Kolohe just looks relaxed and eases into it like he did with Kelly, he looked really comfortable in that heat. I think he'll do well.
So everything in favor of Bede Durbridge for the first half of this matchup with a 9.33 and an 8.97. Winner this heat joins Fanning in the quarterfinals. We'll see what happens right after this. Good afternoon and welcome back to the Quicksilver Pro. A lot of fans on hand. It's a tradition to come here to the southwest of France every single year on the championship tour, and this event always defines our champions. Every time Mick Fanning seems to take this one out, it puts him on a roll to clinch world titles. We saw him do that back when he won his first one. France is a special place for Mick, and the winner of this heat will join Fanning in the second quarterfinal of the event. So far, so good for Bede Durbridge. 9.33, 8.97 back-to-back. Remember his keepers against Ace. He did it back-to-back as well.
That he did, Joe. You know, dropping some big scores. Ace dropped a 9.23. Bede heard that, made a beeline for the same section of the bank that Ace was on, and then dropped a couple of 9s of his own. So Second highest two-wave total yesterday behind Gabriel Medina. Medina again comes out the blocks firing, drops a 10 and a 9.87 or whatever it was. Just ridiculous surfing from him. Medina well and truly back on track, but beat Durbridge. Going to be hard to beat, Joe.
Well, we always like talking about equipment, especially with Peter Mel. Hey, Pete, what do you think about the thruster setup?
Well, come on. It's one of the most amazing parts of surfing that has been brought to this world by this man next to me, Mr. Simon Anderson, who is the inventor and brainchild of the thruster, the modern-day thruster. And Simon, we see you here every season. You know, you come to the Quicksilver Pro, and you know, from what I understand, you spend a little time in the shaping room as well as your new hobby, taking photos.
Yeah, that's right, Pete. I don't like to spend too much time in the shaping bay, and a bad day behind the lens is probably better than a good day in the shaping bay, I suppose. But yeah, I'm a photographer now as well. How do you like that?
That's talent all the way across the board. I've got to ask you, though, I mean, I should have read it in your book, Thrust, but where did the inspiration from the thruster come from?
It was basically Mark Richards proving a real thorn in everyone's side with the twin fin, and expanding world tour, going to small wave regions, and I'm a big guy and I really couldn't surf the twin fin above 1 or 2 foot. So I was looking for something between the twin fin and the single fin, and a mate of mine had this twin fin with strange thing at the back, and that was the spark for the idea.
And I got to ask you, just in regards to this heat, you've got both these surfers riding 3 fins. I mean, give us a little bit of insight on what their styles and approaches for you.
Yeah, I've seen Bede over the years, obviously full-on rail surfer, and he just got like a 9.3 for a cutback, so probably the highest scoring cutback manoeuvre in the history of surfing. And Kolohe, new school, going to the air, he hadn't really had much of an opportunity so far, so good luck for Bede. And yeah, but the conditions are absolutely idyllic, so glassy, you know, any surfer would love to be out there.
Well, it's always a pleasure to speak to you. Thank you so much for coming down here to the Quicksilver Pro. And if you guys want to pick up one of these Simon boards, head over to Euroglass, as he'll be there a short amount of times in the shaping bay.
Thank you very much, Pete. You got to love Simon Anderson's sense of humor. He's always accepted awards at different events in surfing for decades for what he did for pro surfing. Changed everything back in the early 80s, introducing that 3-fin setup called the thruster. He makes fun of himself on podium speeches. He pushes the award away from him. Has a great laugh, saying that Bede got the biggest score for a cutback. That's just classic Simon right there, Putz. Love it. Here's Andino now. 7 minutes to go. Still comboed. Needs something gigantic here. Float to start. Out in front. Front side whip in the pocket. Nothing left for the Californian. 6:40 to go. France and Europe overall has been pretty solid for Andino. It's been this far in this contest before, but now a big combination to come through. Now 6:30 to go. Time's ticking away, Potts.
Yeah, time is ticking away, Joe. Just over 6 minutes, but you know, Kolohe he just needs a Hail Mary. You know, it's one of those situations now where he can only just try and sort of put a Band-Aid on it and try and come out of this heat with a little bit of confidence. You know, at the moment, just his highest scoring ride is a 3.77, which is just not how I envisaged this heat to turn out, especially after his heat with Kelly, you know, the other day, just really lighting it up, doing one of the biggest airs we've seen, and then this one just not really panning out the way he expected, you know.
So true. He's had such a cruisy week. He's got his girlfriend here with him, his filmer Noah, dad hanging out at the house behind the scenes. They've been having some fun, but always down here early morning, getting the warm-up surf, looking at the footage. Remember last year they were doing the same routine, and he got barreled and did a gigantic alley-oop in Portugal, and it was deemed maybe one of the best combos ever done. It was featured in his movie Brother that he premiered earlier this year. 5:22 though on the clock in this one, and just pacing underneath Bede is Kolohe, looking for anything that moves.
Yeah, exactly right. Just back to Simon for a little bit. I'd love to have asked him a question about where he thinks surfboard design is going. I know Kelly's always pushing the envelope with that. I'll be interested to know if he is as well.
Now Andino hitting the 5-minute warning up and out. So true. After you come up with something that changes surfing forever, I'm sure he He's got a couple ideas up his sleeve.
Yeah, not that he gets in the bay to try them out. Sounds like he's taken up photography full time. Be nice to see a few of his photos, see if they're in focus.
Ran into him the other day, and he actually cut the conversation short. He had to go surfing. Still spending a ton of time in the water.
He was, hi Potts and Joe, can't talk, I'm on a mission.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
Looking for some clear water with nobody out, and I'm sure he found it.
Yes. And Simon surfed in that Legends Heat at Trestles. Still can rip.
Quick high five from Fletch to Owen Wright. High fives his sister, Tyler Wright. Taking on the local favorite in Jeremy Flores coming up next in round 5, heat number 3. Talking about Jeremy's run this season, taking his second ever CT win in Tahiti. Owen took his second ever CT win in Fiji this same season. Jeremy also a huge standout at the Fiji Pro. That's when we started realizing this crazy comeback to form. Flores had to miss the J-Bay Open due to the hand injury he got from the air in Indonesia. So a huge clash coming back. Both 100% ready to go. 340 remaining, and Dino still comboed. We have Strider Wazalewski sitting in the water. Strider, what's been the major difference with Bede dominating this heat?
Well, it seems like, we got progression versus power right now. Power winning out over progression. Kolohe not having the opportunities that he's been looking for. That inside section's kind of shutting down with a higher tide, and it's made it really hard for him to get above the lip. And there's a little wonk on the water as well from the backwash. So that's all working against the progression side of surfing. And out here with that, the lumpy faces and the long walls kind of backing off, you've got basically power surfing winning in over that. So I think that's the difference in the heat right now. After watching Gabriel Medina do that air, he's still looking for it and he wants to match it.
You know, Strider, when do you recalibrate though? When do you realize that the conditions aren't conducive to airs and then stick to the water?
Well, obviously he's had to adapt now, but he's against the fence. Time's winding down. It's not on his side, and he's going to have to try to get something underneath. As you can see him scrambling on the inside right now. You know, Bede's just watching him, knowing he's got the position on the peak. He's got priority. He's in command of this heat, and it's not looking good for Kolohe right now.
There's been something with Bede's form in this contest. Strider, have you figured out why he's dominating, getting multiple 9s?
You know, I do. I think the reason why he's getting 9s is because he's surfing so strong. He's surfing fast. He's surfing crisp. You can watch him right now surfing off the bottom, slams it up off the top. He's just got the flow. He's got the power. He's got everything he needs, you know, in this event. He's been looking really good, and I'm, you know, really surprised to even see him into this round as he was just ripping through that. But, hey, it's going to be, anybody's game. Kolohe's trying to get something back here, as you can see him, but there's not much left on the end of that thing as he throws down a nice whip in the corner.
Thanks a lot, Strizzleberry. We've got Kolohe and Dino, a couple of off-the-top wraps heading into the inside corner. He's out of there trying to fight back to break the combination. Bede Durbridge still looking flawless. You can see in that little recap, Bede just getting the best waves, the biggest waves that were running through. Even if he only had 2 maneuvers to deal with, he chose the right maneuvers, flexed his power and strength. He's a big guy. He's been around for a long time. And now it's looked like he's getting closer to the quarterfinals. He had that final early this year in Rio, and that was a huge comeback for Bede. It had been a long time since he'd reached that stage of a contest.
Yeah, 2010 was the last time Bede was on the podium when Kelly won his 10th world title. But, you know, it's kind of contagious, though. You know, you get a good result and kind of get that snowball effect, and Bede knows, you know, he's one guy that can continue that. Once he gets that momentum, he's pretty hard to beat. Look at this, the way he's surfing right now. As you said, clean, sharp, no mistakes. That board is looking really good under his feet, and Bede is oozing confidence. Chloe, I think he should have done this a little bit earlier. A beautiful layback snap right there. Comes off the bottom again, jams it in the pocket. This is better from Chloe. I think if he had done this in the beginning of the heat, just to build that confidence up, build that momentum, I think we would have had a different heat on our hands. Let's watch this turn here from Kolohe. Just lays into it. I talked to you earlier about how Kolohe can match Bede turn for turn. Once he could do that, once he posted a couple of solid scores, then go to the air, then show that the judges that difference that he's got between himself and Bede.
Love that body torque wrap. Leads with the upper body and then does that big rip on the inside corner. Now running out of time, Bede Durbridge with a 9.33 and an 8.97. Had Kolohe and Dino comboed. all the way till the finish, and Dino's best is 6.43, but not enough to take on Bede. And Durbridge, the former pipe master, former Triple Crown champ, is into the quarterfinals to take on the best ever in Quicksilver Pro France history in Mick Fanning.
Yeah, that's going to be a great heat. Mick sent him into this round, so it's going to be interesting to see if Bede can play spoiler for the world title. He's got his work cut out, though, because Mick is on fire. Bede, just that extra heat out here that's going to give him that extra little bit of confidence that he's going to need to try and take down the champ.
Another big heat coming up next. Jeremy Flores taking on Owen Wright. Will bring in Ronnie Blakey and a man who got a perfect 100 at the Eddie Aikau event, Ross Williams, coming up next.
Welcome back to the Quicksilver Pro. We've got round 5 action unfolding in the lineup already. The first 2 quarterfinals are established. Julian Wilson will take on Italo Ferreira. Mick Fanning will be up against Bede Durbridge. And right now, hitting the lineup, Jeremy Flores and Owen Wright. One of these surfers is going to be taking on Adriano de Souza in quarterfinal number 3. Ronnie Blakey joined by former championship tour competitor Ross Williams. And Ross, this is a big heat. Jeremy Flores wants to hold his position in the top 10. Owen Wright, he wants to maintain world title pace with the front runners.
Yeah, for sure. And going off their last heat performances, Owen Wright, wasn't clicking on all cylinders. For sure, he's a little bit angry at himself. He wants to get back to that form we're used to seeing from him. Jeremy Flores was out of sync, but he did connect really nicely on one of his waves. So we'll see if he can re-engage here in this round 5 matchup with O-Dog. And Jeremy Flores, much quicker tempo than Owen Wright. So if you're Jeremy, you're going to try and expose him in that way, stay really flashy and quick. Owen, slower tempo, but always on point. Well, as soon as I say that, he just gets messed up with that backwash, so no big scores yet.
A 1.17 for Owen Wright. Jeremy Flores gets a 4.83, just gets the slight edge on Jeremy in the opening exchange, but priority will go to Owen Wright. So he'll be able to swing on the next one. Quite a bit of history between these two competitors. 4 man-on-man heats in the past. Jeremy winning 3 of them, but Owen getting the last over there in Fiji this year. And here is Owen now, using priority on this wave. Wants to sharpen up his act a little bit in this round 5 heat. As he works this one over. Just has that smooth flow, gets the fins free on that turn and kicks out before the wave. Bottoms out in the sandbar. Jeremy Flores chasing him through to the inside now. And he gets a clean finish too. And the crowd lapping it up. Jeremy, of course, the hometown hero. A huge star over here in France and throughout Europe. And already equaling his best ever finish in the Quicksilver Pro by making this round. That came in 2011. He had a 9th place finish, but then had to withdraw from the contest with an ankle injury. So this is a big opportunity for Jeremy to really break a bit of a curse here in this contest, because other than that other 9th place finish, he hasn't been past the 3rd round.
We might see a paddle battle right here, Ronnie. They're both kind of evened up. Whoever gets back out to the top of the lineup is going to gain priority. So Owen Wright, huge arms. I mean, he is the tallest surfer on tour. His wingspan is well over 6 feet.
Jeremy's going for it, though.
He's got the inside track. That usually is a good thing.
I think Owen only just picked up that Jeremy was there fighting for that priority. Once Owen gets going, he's going to be hard to stop. He has an unusually large wingspan. It's 6'7" and 1/4 inches, more than 4 inches his height, which is quite odd. Also a 1/4 inch longer than Olympic swimmer Michael Phelps.
Jeremy's got the afterburners on, getting the feet going. They're going to be gassed too, paddling this hard after riding a wave all the way to the sand. You need tons of endurance. Owen doesn't look like he's paddling as fast. His tempo's slower, but again, you mentioned that length in those arms.
Well, 24 minutes remaining. And the boys still paddling.
In terms of their rides, both surfed really well, but Jeremy had that really exciting finish. And they gave it to Jeremy. So that inside track paid off for him. Keep in mind, he had the last wave, so that's unusual.
No, it's actually just flicked. Yeah. I think it was just up there on your screen because Jeremy had priority, but he used it on that last wave, so it was neutral as they paddled back out. And Owen got to the takeoff zone. And typically that's the case. If the two surfers arrive at the same time, it's going to go to the person that rode the first wave in the exchange, not the second. But here is the replay of Jeremy's last wave, a beautiful wall in front of him, Ross.
Crispy start there. I love how fast Jeremy surfs. He has a ton of speed throughout those whippy carves. You know, and this wave pretty good so far, but he needed a solid finish, to be honest. And he got that nice clean re-entry right on the closeout. So that's a nice way to start your heat. Just bag a nice score, calm the nerves. Again, slower tempo for Owen Wright, but he is always buttery smooth. And he has a ton of power. One of the taller surfers on tour. He has a long surfboard under his feet compared to most guys on tour. And the cool thing for Owen, he has a lot of rail in the water. With that bigger equipment, he can displace a lot of spray.
Well, a 7.5 for Jeremy Flores. That number just coming through. So coupled up with the 4.83 on his first wave. He's going to move ahead here. Owen Wright, he gets a 5.77 on his first wave. Owen collecting priority at the takeoff zone. 22 minutes remaining, plenty of time left.
Good surfing from Jeremy, and that's fair. 7.5, the wave was much more in that quality zone. Clean, glassy. But definitely both these guys have way more to show in this heat.
You can see them just waiting patiently. Beautiful conditions on offer. Strider Wasilewski out there in the lineup watching these exchanges unfold. How did it look from out there, Strider?
Well, it was pretty amazing, actually. Jeremy Flores obviously getting the better of that exchange. But at the end of his wave, he went for the final maneuver. With that, you know, he had to deal with the inside and the whitewater. And as he came up, I could hear the crowd roaring. He could hear the crowd roaring, and he was well behind Owen for the paddle, but he got right into it because of the crowd getting into it behind him on the beach. So the beach is absolutely packed, and he could hear all the French fans going for him, and it looked like he just got psyched up as soon as he heard him, jumped on the board and went for the paddle, even though it wouldn't be an easy one to win against, the Avatar. That big man out there, Owen, he's got such long limbs. It doesn't even look like he's paddling fast, but he's just motoring on by. So it was pretty cool to see the interaction between the fans and the surfers and watching that all play out and as they got back to the peak.
Kind of the case too with Owen surfing. Sometimes it looks like he's not going that quick, but have a look at this. You can see there's some speed involved as he drives up into that first section. Just keeping that down the line flow with the second manoeuvre. Now just committing and rounding out that third turn. And really working this one over. Great combination of manoeuvres, a lot of variety in these turns. And he kicks on out, pretty happy with himself.
And his surfing's so efficient. Everything looks calculated, sharp, clean, and no wasted movements in his body. And for a big fellow, that's kind of what you have to do. Could you imagine, if he had a wide stance, if his limbs weren't the way they are, it would be so visible. But because he's got such perfect technique, everything looks nice. This turn right here is right on the money. Bingo, a lot of spray. He's able to get so much speed out of his turns. That's why he never weaves, he never bobbles, certainly doesn't bounce between turns. He's just such a smooth operator.
Love when Owen gets the room with that backhand on a big wave to unload. I think in sizier surf, he might have the strongest backhand on tour.
I'm with you. This kind of wave, these rights, right up his ballpark. You think of Winky Pot Bells, that's where Owen really shines.
Just over 19 and a half minutes to go. Owen is about to drop a solid score. We'll get that in just a second. But right now, let's hear from another one of our quarterfinalists. He'll be taking on Mick Fanning with Rosie Hodge at Speed Durbridge.
That's right. Beat Durbridge, you'd have to say that you're one of the favourites at the moment. After your performances yesterday and then today, just absolutely on a tear. You must feel confident and comfortable both in your equipment and in your surfing.
Yeah, no, for sure. I've had some really good heat scores and just been going down and watching it and from front on, just getting a different view from it and just kind of picking the eyes out of it. And my board's just going insane and just everything's on track for a big result. And had Chloe then, it was a tough draw and he can either get 2 10s or fall, and luckily for me he fell, and I just had a different game plan. I wanted to catch the bigger waves and show my power, and hopefully the judges would like that more, and seemed to like it.
And we loved your matchup with Mick Fanning earlier this morning. Obviously in those 3-man heats, he just got the nod over you. You guys will meet up in the quarterfinals. What can we expect from that matchup?
Yeah, I think therell be some fireworks as long as the waves show up. Very similar approaches. Both will show a power game, and Mick's a great friend, but we'll just put that aside for that 30 minutes and have a good old battle.
And Bede, with 3 events left on the tour, what is your goal for the rest of the season?
Just to get on a roll for these last 3 events, and I came here really wanted to do well, and it's paying off so far, and just want to keep going and just bring it home strong and finish in the top 10.
We can't wait for that quarterfinal up against Mick Fanning, finishing strong. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Rosie. Well, Bede's in a great position to make that jump towards the top 10. Above him on the ratings coming into this contest, Kai Otten, Joel Parkinson, Taj Burrow, Wiggly Dantes, Josh Kerr, Nat Young, all those surfers out of the draw. So with a huge finish, Bede could go a long way up the ratings and might even crack the top 10, which is his goal. 17 and a half minutes remaining, scores in for Owen Wright. On his last wave, an 8.9. Gets an excellent score on the board. And Jeremy Flores now in second spot. He needs a 7.18 to get back into the lead. And during the interview, Jeremy actually had this ride.
So you can see how much speed, a lot more water riding on the top of the surface for Jeremy, just skimming across this wave. And because he has that kind of technique, he really flies down the line, but never really leaned into a heavy maneuver. Nice clean tail slide there, but because he didn't have that explosive, heavy, girthy turn, the score was just mediocre, just a 6.1.
So a 6.17, Jeremy still looking for that 7.18. When we rocked up this morning, I didn't think the waves would get as good as they have. It was a good decision just to get the judges down in front of this right-hander. We've actually moved one of our cameras to give you a bit more of that judge's perspective, because from that angle that they're looking at, you see the steepness of the wall.
Yeah.
You see the critical approach that the world's best are taking at the moment, and you can see why they've been dropping those excellent numbers throughout the day.
I love it when you get that angle almost from behind on the waves. It just, you can see how much more that wave stands up. It's like the lights turned on. And for these guys right now, it's amazing. This bank has really, it's almost improved with the higher tide. We thought it was going to be kind of a low tide thing, but it's gotten better.
Definitely my favorite angle, and I like looking at trestles that way too, as opposed to looking into the wave. Kind of takes away the steepness and the playfulness of that wall. When you see it from the left side of the peak, looking across at the right, it looks a lot steeper.
It's
you can
reality.
see how much people really turn up into those critical sections of the wave.
Yeah, it's realistic too. Nothing gets diluted. You can actually see everything from in front and from behind. But look at this, Ronnie, a few medium-sized lines coming in.
So that'd kill me if I was ever to compete in a heat. I can't let a decent wave like that go by, and I think that is always a challenge for those guys who graduate to the CT, those QS campaigners. Letting good waves go is really difficult.
It's hard. And people are antsy too, have a lot of energy. They want to keep moving. It's tough to sit still. This could be a great wave here for Jeremy.
Jeremy Flores, without priority, he's keeping busy, chasing a 7.18. Digs into the first section and drifts that tail, doesn't ride out of the second move. I think with just that first turn option slightly mistimed, he looked to save it with something exciting.
Mini bullet dodge there for Owen. He was watching from behind, just going, man, did I just let go a big score? He's going to be relieved. So the psychology of it all, the game that's being played out there, it's it really does weigh on these guys. And right now he's feeling good about things. He's got the best 2 scores. Well, he's got the best 1 score, the 8.9. This is the wrap though, right here. Third one. Oh, just so silky smooth. So 3 or 4 major maneuvers on a really clean wave, almost a 9-point ride here for Owen. And he makes it look so easy, doesn't he, Ronnie? He doesn't really surf out of his skin.
I love that second last turn. I think Owen can surf for an excellent score without getting into top gear. And that's a good thing to have up your sleeve when you're heading towards finals against really informed surfers. The winner of this heat's going to take on Adriano de Souza, and he surfed to his full potential in his 4th round heat.
Yeah.
If he can keep repeating those kind of performances, he'll be hard to beat. But I think that's almost peak speed for Adriano. What he did in that last heat, I think that might be one of his most impressive heats this year.
Same. I totally agree with you. That was probably the best I've seen him surf this year. A lot of times he looks defensive and surfing for an 8.5, but that one he let loose a little more, had more speed and zip. Definitely aggressive. And he threw together, what was it, like 4 or 5 8.5s or higher.
4 excellent rides. So dropping a couple of 8s at the end of the heat. Just on 13 minutes to go. And Owen right now uses his priority on what is a beautiful looking wave. Climbs up into the first section, gets a little hung up, but he's still got plenty of wall to work with. Just glides through a beautiful backhand carve for the second turn and then starts to drift the tail on the third maneuver and gets a big finish. A number of major turns, and you can tell with the exit that he likes it. Jeremy Flores now. He needs to step things up, and he does with a really clean wrap. And he gets a solid finish too. Critical turn. Great exchange. Watch for the paddle battle. The crowd letting the boys know that they appreciate the performance level. It's right up there at the moment.
Could be another paddle battle. Owen's on the inside and he caught the wave prior, so odds are he will get it.
I think Jeremy should save himself.
Yeah.
Owen's a monster. One of the fastest paddlers. The palm of his hand is about the size of Jeremy's back, so he has that extra pull through the water, and he'll get there easily.
Great pair of waves there. This is going to be a really good matchup between these 2 scores. Jeremy maybe slightly more crisp, faster through those carves. That was definitely my favorite wave for him so far in this heat.
Just over 11.5 minutes remaining. Replays to come and waiting on scores to drop. A big heat unfolding here in round 5 of the Quicksilver Pro. Last year's winner here at the Quicksilver Pro, John Florence, getting set to take on Matt Wilkinson in the last heat of round 5. But right now out in the lineup, a great heat unfolding. Jeremy Flores in career best form in 2015, bouncing back from a shocker year last season. He's about to put a decent score on the board, an 8.67. He's got himself back in this heat and momentarily was in the lead, but Owen Wright has just put a 9.6 on the board. So Jeremy needs a 9.83 with 10 minutes remaining.
Whammo, that is a giant score for Owen. So getting the tip of the cap from the judges in the form of an extra point over Jeremy. Nice start there, but as you mentioned, he got slightly hung up. Beautiful bottom turn into a nice wrap, and then he reconnects with a heavier move right there. That was definitely the best turn of that wave, and then he got the finish. That wave was a 10. I mean, as soon as he stood up, basically you could just kind of come backwards from a 10. Not many mistakes for Owen, and it almost got there, the 9.6. And I love these wraps right here. This second one from Jeremy, really fast. Nice little zip off the back end of that carve, through some spray. Better one right there, really engaged the rail. And a pretty solid finish there. Just a little hung up for a split second, but he managed to ride out of it. That's a big score too, 8.6, he's in this thing.
And then again, you're looking at those two waves from different camera angles. I think Jeremy's second last turn, that big wrap,
nice.
That would look pretty spectacular from the same angle we watched Owen's ride. But it was a solid score, an 8.67. He's still in it, Jeremy Flores, but he has to go near perfect if he's going to overcome the lanky Australian Owen Wright, 6'3" a beast of a human, and like Geordie Smith, really loves some volume in his board. Up over 32 litres of foam in his equipment.
Jeez.
And he throws it around like a twig.
That's easily the biggest surfboard on tour by far. I mean, to put it in perspective, Jeremy Flores probably rides right around 25 litres.
Yeah, Glenn Hall could get a paddle and stand up on that thing and paddle around the lake on the other side here over at Possigore. But let's have a look from the judge's angle of Jeremy's 8.67.
Nice cut through a lot of spray, and that turn was money. I like how that spray just went downwards from the back end of his tail. You could see he almost sprayed where he just bottom turned from. That just shows you how much he was S-turning around there. The judges gave almost an entire point to Owen. If you compare the two, I would have liked it more, maybe just about a half a point better. But nonetheless, Owen definitely getting the nod there.
Definitely love that one big backhand fin blast of Owen. So controlled, really dropped back down into the pocket. Had that great, smooth, trademark rhythm on show. But Jeremy, he's just in a different headspace at the moment. You can see the boys out there talking. They're both really enjoying their time this year on the championship tour. I think at one point Jeremy might have paddled out after an exchange like that and sort of been looking in at the beach, puzzled by decisions. But at the moment, he just seems to be pretty comfortable with the way the scores are rolling. And I think he'd still back himself to get out of this heat.
I agree. Yeah, he's ripping right now. And again, if he's going to try and find a way to get the nod over Owen Wright, he's got to expose him with speed. Jeremy, a much quicker surfer, so he's not out of this. And 9.83, that's a massive score, but he could better his 8.67 and kind of crawl back in there.
Well, just under 7 minutes remaining in this heat. Jeremy Flores still with some time to get back in it. Kolohe Andino, he gave us one of the turns of the contest, but he did fall out of the draw at the hands of Pete Durbidge in that last heat. And he's with Rosie Hodge. Let's hear from the man.
He definitely put his hand up for maneuver of the contest in that heat against Kelly Slater. Kolohe Andino, your best event so far this year. We saw some great performances from you. What's it going to take to carry those through and keep them consistent?
Yeah, I just think maturing out there, I got super outpowered and outmatured. Beat was just surfing real solid and clean on the sets, and I thought I was kind of had to do more than I needed to. Got so fired up with Gabriel's performance. I wanted to, do my best surfing, and and then I got stuck in between two minds on most of my maneuvers, and I ended up getting really good waves, but I just kooked them. So I'm so stoked that I got to surf against Kelly and I beat him, so it's cool. And I'm on tour next year through the QS, so no pressure, just enjoy the rest of the year.
And you have a couple event wins this year, and then obviously you also follow other codes of sport pretty closely. What is it about those other sports that inspire you? Do you take away any moments from that and strategy to put into your surfing?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I feel like I've learned to win when I was younger, and I know how to win, and I know how to act when I win. But it's when I lose, I don't really know how to act, and I've had some big blow-ups and stuff. So I'm just trying to learn how to lose, and I think just doing that will help me, will get me winning again. So yeah, but baseball right now, Dodgers are in the playoffs, and they won this morning. Actually, I woke up at 5 to watch it, and yeah, they came back and won. But yeah, just watching how they put their head down and shake the other opponent's hand and congratulate them and get back to work. So hopefully I can imitate that.
All right, Kalohe, with a very mature approach, and we're stoked to see you back on form, and hopefully you'll back that up in the next 2 events. Back up to you, Ronnie.
Thanks, Rosie. Kalohe and Dino, he came out in that first event of the year, the Quicksilver Pro, and gave us some real highlights, but he got defeated by the eventual contest winner. He just wasn't ever able to really get his year on track after that. But luckily, he had a good run on the QS early, and he saved himself with a QS 10,000 win just a couple of weeks back. So he is definitely going to be here on the championship tour next season, and sticking it out for these last couple of contests too, where he's certainly capable of causing some big upsets.
And for Kalohe, one thing for him to look at, and that B just laid it on rail, and those waves were conducive for great power surfing. When Kalohe went in the water, you could see that he was looking for big airs and a different type of surfing. So if there's something to take away from that, he is be adjustable, make sure you capitalize on the conditions for what's on offer. And for those waves right there, it was all about big old hacks.
3.5 minutes to go. The waves have been firing throughout the day here at the Quicksilver Pro, and this heat is also still turning on, but we're just sensing that it's starting to slow up a little bit with the changing tide. Strider Wasilewski, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely. I think the tide's going to play a huge factor into this next heat. It's all winding down. The tide is coming up, and it's going to be high soon. So, these guys are going to have the best wave selection. Priority, sitting out there, waiting. It's going to become a game of kind of cat and mouse. Do I take this one? Do I let it go? Do I wait for the bigger wave? In this heat, it's been obvious. Owen Wright has been on the best waves of the heat, and he's got the highest scores. So that's the simple factor of this next heat. It's going to be the best waves are going to win. But then there's an X factor. John hitting those smaller waves but doing the big moves. So we're going to see how this thing plays out. But I think no matter what, the best wave is going to win.
It's pretty interesting. Both these surfers have done a good job of getting a couple of scores on the board, keeping busy, making the most of those set waves that did roll by early on in the heat. A 7.5 for Jeremy Flores early on, and an 8.67 on his last wave. But Owen Wright has just edged ahead of Jeremy with each of his scoring rides, an 8.9 and a 9.6. That leaves Flores chasing a 9.83 coming into the final 2 minutes. Priority is with the Australian though. He's going to let this one go. Let's see if Jeremy can convert it into a near perfect ride. He's got some speed, and he throws everything into that first section. He's going to ride out of this maneuver. That is a trademark turn for Flores. Super exciting, but unfortunately not much else left on that wave. All the meat was really in that first section.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. He's known for doing that maneuver, sort of took a page out of Andy Irons' book. That was another guy that kind of invented that. Josh Kerr is known for going to that move. And, I don't think it's at the caliber of Gabriel Medina's 10, with that big air, but they're definitely radical.
Super difficult. And the body just gets so contorted here. Under the lip, inverted, upside down for a moment. Just buries the nose of his board in and brings that thing around, Ross.
Yeah, really cool. You can see he got cramped, nowhere to go, so he said, you know what, I'll just grab my rail and cork this thing around. So super aggressive, and you're not going to get much more committed to that. Juiciest part of the wave right there in the pit, and just wrapped his board around.
Talk about working the crowd. That makes no sense to me, that maneuver.
What do they call that, a club sandwich? It's got a couple different names.
Some people call it a club sandwich. It's an inverted grab rail reverse, really. It's got a bit of everything in it.
You're not going to see many big dudes go to that maneuver. It's kind of a small guy maneuver. You got to get so compressed.
Well, there is only 30 seconds to go, and despite the fact that that was an amazing turn, it's not going to get Jeremy the number that he needed. He was chasing a 9.83, and it looks like that score is going to fall in the 6-point range. He's up once again, and it's a medium-sized wall, so he needs something really special here. And it seems like he almost knows that this heat might be out of his reach as he makes his way in. But a great performance in the Quicksilver Pro, one of his best. But Owen Wright is going to move through to the quarters and maintain that title pace with Fanning, De Souza, and Julian Wilson.
Satisfying win there for Owen. Clean surfing. Didn't try to overdo anything, just got the job done.
And a hefty number there, 18.5. Bouncing back beautifully after getting blitzed in the 4th round by Gabriel Medina. Owen Wright charging on through to quarterfinal action. We're going to take a break. More to come after the break. We'll give you an update. We'll see if we're getting into the Roxy Pro. Stay with us.
I've been coming here since I was such a little kid and watching this event when I was really young. But to actually come and win it when there's big, good waves like that, that was like a whole extra thing for me. I was so stoked. Kind of not putting that pressure on myself for defending it. And it's pretty easy when the waves are like this, just to go out and go surfing out.
John Florence, he finds a long one, reels through to the inside.
If it was onshore and 1 foot, it'd be a whole nother story. Be a bit more nervous, but you know, it's 6 feet and offshore and perfect waves.
Well, this is the last heat of round 5, and it is a banger. Matt Wilkinson taking on last year's winner, John Florence. Should be a good clash. And don't forget, we're still waiting to find out whether we're going to get back into the Roxy Pro, but John Florence's performances so far in this event, really impressive, especially in that first round where he laid down some of the biggest turns we've seen so far this season, you'd have to say. Big rail turns. But a little patchy in his round 4 effort, Ross Williams.
Definitely. You know, and another thing to take note of for this heat, they have 30 minutes, but that tide is rushing. It's coming up right now. And as that tide comes up, sometimes your style can get cramped. The waves can get inconsistent. So these guys, they might want to get a little crafty. Look for those backup scores right now.
Well, looking to get a quick start is John Florence. He gets all that speed and throws it into this big frontside hack. But unfortunately, just a one-turn wave. And then Matt Wilkinson also had a ride.
Just kind of skipped a fin on that bottom turn. He doesn't like it.
He's out of there. So just a couple of low scores on the board. Even head-to-head matchup history between these two competitors. 2 wins apiece. A 1.77 for Wilco on his first wave. Florence gets a 2.77. What are your thoughts just after what we've seen throughout this contest, and especially what we've seen in round 4 today? Do you think that John can reclaim the magic, or is Matt Wilkinson going to prevail here?
It's really interesting. I think this heat is going to be dictated by the surf. Whoever can get in rhythm with those nice set waves, I have a feeling that this tide is going to wreak havoc in this heat. It's coming up, it's on the rise, and it can make it pretty slow. So whoever can be comfortable with that one good wave and not making any mistakes is going to get the nod.
Matt Wilkinson, he's done himself some huge favours, already progressing through to this 5th round. He's in 19th place on the ratings. There's plenty of surfers just above him who've fallen out of the draw. So he can make up some serious ground here. John Florence, he comes into the contest in 18th spot. Keep in mind that John did miss a couple of events due to an injury earlier this season. So he'll make a bit of a leap up the ratings as well. But just like last season, we saw him catch fire through the back half of the year. He could go well up into the top 10. You just know that he's going to put in a good fight at the Pipe Masters too.
And speaking of, just carrying that momentum through, Matt Wilkinson was up against Gabriel Medina in that 3-man heat in the last round, and kind of just got dealt with. So, that's never a good thing. He did get one solid wave, but also John wasn't firing on all cylinders. So right now, both their confidence going to be a little on the low side.
Both neutralised in that 4th round, but also had some little flashes of brilliance too. John had a great recovery on a big air reverse. And Matt Wilkinson, even though he never really found that long running right to do a number of big turns, he definitely let go of some big backhand blasts. So that was awesome. John Florence, he's got a solid history with this event. It's almost rivaling Gabriel Medina's, except for his rookie campaign here. He got a 2nd round exit, then got a semi-final, a quarter-final and a win last year. Pretty impressive numbers. Matt Wilkinson, well, he's just equalled his best ever finish here by making this round. He had a 9th place here last year, but prior to that, hadn't made it past round 2. So he's struggled here at the Quiksilver Pro France.
So I think, for both these guys sitting here in the water, just kind of waiting for the next pair of waves to come in. You can see those little backup scores that were available during the lower tide have gone away. And here's a nice little set, Ronnie.
It's a clean looking wall. Matt Wilkinson without priority has a good look at it. Well, that one's going to get away from them. John, well, he's got his eyes on this set. And it looks like he's going to use that priority. He swings. Has been building speed for his first turn options throughout the event. No different this time, and he goes into a wild fin throw reverse. Can't maintain control and right out though.
Yeah, he looked a little wobbly on that wave, just kind of loose. Tried to pick the nose and do that crazy noodly reverse that he does with ease, but couldn't connect.
He's been loving just getting up, getting a full head of speed and then laying into a big carve, but that outer section's not really allowing that at this point in time. It's sort of standing up a little bit more. Guys are having to go to that re-entry a little more often.
You can see he was pretty high up on the bank on that set. He was chasing it down. That first bottom turn, he had to kind of bounce and get around it. It was never that perfect, easy tempo where you're just laying into it.
So the opportunity there to put a good score on the board as the conditions start to get a little slower with the increasing tide is lost. And Matt Wilkinson, he gets an opportunity now. Let's see if he can put a big number on the board.
We heard that, some of the competitors are saying it's shifty out there, and it's, it's not obvious, but you get pushed around a little bit in the lineup. And for sure, that was the problem for John. He was out of position on that set wave.
I'd say the person that progresses through this heat is 100% safe for the CT next season, and the person who doesn't is just going to have to make sure they do something special at Portugal or Pipe, as we see John now getting that big first turn in, moving down the line, looking for an aerial, loses contact with his equipment though.
John, going big or going home. That's his motto.
And look at this thing, a bit more size in this set. Wilkinson, late takeoff, but a huge first turn, a really steep part of the wave. Unfortunately, just the one manoeuvre. Definitely one of the biggest sets that we've seen today.
That was the size of that thing. That was double overhead. But it closed out for Matt.
Love that first turn from Matt.
The wind still non-existent. So great conditions, even though the tide's getting pretty full. Extremely rippable right now. Look at this steepness on that wave. Let's watch this first turn. Nice and vertical, kind of snaps out of it, but definitely not clicking on all cylinders on that. And right when he wanted to really get moving and collect a bunch of those wicked snaps that he loves to do, that wave closed out.
20.5 minutes to go. And this crowd really has filled in anticipation of this clash. Everyone seems to really have a thing for John over here after last year.
Yeah, he's definitely got a connection. I think they love his bravado, how he just puts on a show. They totally appreciate it. They love the fact that he's not surfing for 7.5s. He's just going for broke.
Well, Jeremy Flores, a strong performer here at the Quiksilver Pro France in 2015, but knocked out of the event in the last heat by Owen Wright. Let's hear from Jeremy after he collected his best ever finish here in the Quik Pro.
Jeremy, good heat, not good enough obviously for the win, but some good surfing being done there, especially that last big move. Can there anything you can pinpoint that was the difference in that one for you?
Well, I knew it was going to be hard. Owen for me, he's one of the best goofy footers. He's been surfing insane and could be world champ any day. I don't know. I think he got those waves with the long walls that he could really go top to bottom the whole way. My waves, I had like one section or two sections and it was kind of fat, so it was kind of tricky. But I mean, no excuses. I was feeling this whole event, I was surfing like I was feeling frozen. Every time I was on my board standing up, I was feeling like I was surfing on eggs, and I was so stressed. And but this is my best result in France, so I got to stay positive. And even though I felt like I could have done a lot better, but it's positive. It's 9th place. I mean, like I say, I've never ever done good in France, so this is my best result.
And ask you, I mean, you feel like that. Is there anything that you're just going, what is the issue here? I mean, is it you just want to perform really well in front of the crowd, so it gives you a little extra stress?
Yeah, it's strange, and like, I mean, 80% of those waves that I surf in this event, if it was anywhere else in the world, I would have felt so much looser, and I would have felt so much better and so much more confident. I kept falling off and making a little mistake, or I was surfing too safe because I was scared to fall. So I don't know, maybe I just got to work. I really got to work on this mentally, get better prepared for this kind of pressure. Because even though I feel like I'm experienced, I've been on tour for a long time, been around for a long time, and I feel like I can deal with the pressure pretty good, except here. So, I mean, but it was great. It was a great experience having everyone going nuts on the beach every time I was catching a wave, and the whole crowd is unbelievable. It's a great experience. It's definitely stories that I will tell my kids in the future, and I'm glad, and I thank everyone for cheering so much.
And I ask you, we do have a French webcast, so I'd love for you to give your kudos there and your in French, please.
Tout d'abord, je remercie à tout le monde pour tous les encouragements à chaque fois, toutes les séries. On va dire que ça reste positif parce que c'est mon meilleur résultat en France, mais j'aurais pu mieux faire, j'aurais pu mieux surfer tout au long de cette épreuve. Je suis jamais vraiment rentré dans le rythme comme je l'aurais voulu. Je surfais un peu retenu, j'aurais dû plus me lâcher directement. J'ai fait quelques erreurs tactiques aussi, mais en tout cas c'était une expérience incroyable de surfer comme d'habitude en France, avec tout le public qui crie comme des fous et qui me supporte, tout ça, c'est énorme. Donc dans tous les cas c'est une bonne expérience et c'est positif quand même. Donc la prochaine épreuve et l'année prochaine je vais essayer de faire mieux.
Put your hands together for Jeremy Flores.
Gold, Pete. And Jeremy Flores, well, he was in the 8th position going into this contest, and a 9th place finish here. Won't see him move around the ratings too much. He might drop one spot because Italo Ferreira through to the quarterfinals. and he was just behind Jeremy on the ratings coming into this clash. So just over 16 minutes to go, and not a lot has happened as predicted. That tide filling in, and it's just meant a couple less set waves rolling through, and both surfers really failed to capitalise on any of those bigger waves in the early stages.
I have a feeling this is going to play into John's hands, because it's going to come down to maybe grabbing a small insider and going for a big reverse. You know, if Wilkinson's going to get the win here, he needs to stack those chips, get the set waves, and, you know, ride a 7.5 or 8 into the horizon.
I'm thinking the opposite. Just because Matt Wilkinson's out there with priority, Wilco's going to get his pick of the next set wave, then he's going to get back out there. John's going to have to get a better score than a 2.97. Then in the dying stages of the heat, that priority will be relinquished at some point back to Wilkinson, and he'll have that control going into the final minutes of the heat by the looks of things.
Okay, so we both have our wizard hats on. Let's see what happens.
All right.
As we're definitely predicting. He does have priority, which can only help, but a lot of the sets have had at least 2 waves. So John could be behind him, boosting a big old air.
Hope so. Hope we get to see some big exchanges. That's been the case throughout most of the last few heats, which has been great. Equal opportunity for our competitors. Yeah. Great exchanges going down. Even in the 3-man heats, a lot of opportunity for guys to get themselves back into the battle.
And so many awesome performances in this contest. Like, for sure, we're psyched on Gabriel Medina, but how about Bede? The carving that he's put on, he just got his Ginsu knife out.
He sure does. Just over 14 and a half minutes remaining. Owen Wright has just done a great job under pressure of maintaining world title contention pace with Julian Wilson, Mick Fanning and Adriano de Souza. He's with Pete Mel.
Owen, you knew this was going to be a tough bout, being that you've got, you know, a Frenchman in Jeremy Flores coming up, and you know the crowd was going to be rooting for him. How do you deal with that? First of all, that pressure, surfing against him.
I drank coffee.
Did it work?
It did. I was pretty pumped up by the time I got out there. I literally was sitting on the couch there with Wilco, and I was like, oh man, I'm kind of like tired. I'm like, I've got Jeremy. He's going to be going ham, and Wilco had a coffee in his hand. I was like, oh, give me some of that. And I just cuddled out there, and I felt really good. But yeah, man, it's really backwashy out there. So the whole time, like during the heats, I felt kind of a little bit like unstable. But that one I felt like I had a bit better connection and kind of got some better turns away, I think.
And, you know, bigger picture here. I mean, there is a contention here. I mean, you've been in this position one other time in your career, and now you're back in it where you've got, not only one surfer to look at, but you've got several to look at, and you've been watching these guys surf through these heats. How are you dealing with that type of pressure, knowing that you are in contention?
I feel like I am in it. That's probably one of the things that, that I've kind of learnt from years before, whereas I was in it, but not knowingly I wasn't kind of giving myself a full shot, whereas now I'm kind of in it and like reveling in it. Whether I'm going to round 5 and round 2, it's kind of, I just get another opportunity. So I'm kind of liking that I'm getting to surf, and I think I'm surfing, like I surfed better in that heat than I did from the heats before. So I'm kind of enjoying being in it this time, whereas before I kind of felt that pressure, whereas now I'm kind of running with it and kind of really happy with where I am.
Perfect. Love hearing that from Owen Wright, and he's still in this one.
Still in it. He has challenged for a world title before, back in 2011, was it? It was a great year for Owen. He was up against Kelly Slater that year in the title race. 2011, 3 consecutive finals he surfed with Slater. As we throw our attention back to the lineup, and John Florence, a wild air reverse. How the heck did he stick that thing? Wild, almost straight-legged as he came down, but just spun it around. Great control. 12 minutes to go.
Also, there's just a little bit of wind too, just to hold the board to his feet. Perfect timing for that puff of wind.
You said he might be able to sneak into one of those insiders and do that big individual turn, and you were spot on.
So keen.
So Matt Wilkinson, you can't blame him for not going that way, but was going to shut down.
We're still waiting for a couple of scores too. They had a pair of waves go down during Owen's interview, so judges still digesting those scores.
That's pretty wild, though.
You got to love John. I mean, he just mixes it up so much. He must throw the judges for such a loop. Not as high, not as big as, say, Gabriel Medina's air, but definitely a major maneuver.
Here it is.
There's that little offshore breeze. Click. Wow. I mean, you're not going to get more committed than that. And just when that reverse was about to get a little clingy, he rides out of it. Right here, it looked like maybe he'd get hung up, and then he came out of it pretty nice. So, 8 out of 10 in terms of greasing the landing. That was pretty nice. This is the wave prior, Ronnie. During the interview, just a little late, almost wobbly. Second turn, kind of the same. Third turn, kind of the same. So decent, a big set wave, but a little off his game there. Just a little behind that section. Oh, and kind of the same thing. Nice steep section there. A little more on the money on that second snap. And now that that tide's getting pretty full, you can see that inside section all but disappeared.
Well, Matt Wilkinson, he got the better of John in the exchange on turns, a 6.17. John had a 5.77, but we're waiting for a solid number to drop for the Hawaiian.
And that's so fair. John was just a little wobbly on that 5.7, so just a little tip of the cap to Matt.
Solid set wave rolling through here at the moment, 10 minutes to go.
Yeah, this swell is cranking right now. There's some double overhead waves coming in.
Well, let's get Strider Wasilewski's perspective of that last exchange. And Strider, did you see John's air reverse from the back?
I did see it. We just handled the wave real quick just now. That was one of those interesting situations. They were both paddling over the wave. Wilco just decided, it's a one, maybe maneuver wave. I'm over it. And with that, John said, I'm going to sniff this thing out. Definitely turned around, jumped into it, 2 pumps, boom! Busted the tail out, threw it around in the air. I mean, from here, his whole board, everything above the lip. And then as he rode out of it, I couldn't see, but I could hear the crowd going mad. So I figured he did make it, and he did. And it was, it's one of those things with Wilco's fundamentals and up against a progressive surfer like John, anything can happen. We talked about it just before, is that there's an X factor there, and John can make any wave a big score. That was just so key right here in this heat for him to turn around on a wave that Wilco just passed on. So interestingly, that thing went down. I'm not sure what the score was yet, but super sick to watch from the water.
Yeah, it must have looked good from the back. Well, the most interesting part about that air was actually the landing. He kind of had no business in making it. It wasn't sort of that typical landing technique form that he took hold of when he came out of that maneuver. It was almost awkward, but he pulled it with ease, an 8.33, and he's up once again and seems to have found a bit of momentum and confidence from that big air reverse, and he goes to the air once again. And there is the combination of some major maneuvers. And Wilkinson is now chasing him down the line, using priority for this wave. And Wilco starting to find that rhythm on his backhand, but throws everything at the last section, and he really needed to, because John's about to put another excellent score on the board. 8 minutes to go. And Ross, you were spot on with your forecast on how the rest of this heat was going to play out.
The wizard hat is firmly on my head right now, for sure. It's so funny. It's so contagious. Good performance bleeds into more good performance. So as soon as John connected on that air reverse, he actually surfed the best we've seen him all day today. That wave that he just finished was easily his best surfing, and I think it just sparked him. It got the juices flowing, and then he clicked on all cylinders.
Well, that's kind of the thing with John too. He has magic performances throughout events, but sometimes he fails to keep repeating that effort as he moves through the rounds. But definitely seemed to find something with that air reverse, because he blew this wave apart.
Watch the rail turn. Just a little wonky with that backwash, but the first part of it was really spot on. And that air reverse, that is so John-esque, and it really smooth too. No kinks in that one. And I think, I don't want to say that Matt is buckling or feeling the pressure, but he definitely misfired on this wave right here. That turn, just getting a little freaky, trying to really fly those fins towards the channel too much, putting too much force on that tail and getting squirrely.
Might have chewed a bit of rail too, coming out of that maneuver. Well, a solid score about to drop for John. We'll update you on the situation in just a moment. 6.5 minutes to go. Let's get an update with the Deputy Commissioner.
We're down here checking the surf as well as you guys are at home and in the booth, and it still looks pretty darn good. So I think we're going to have some good news as we head into the rest of the afternoon.
Yeah, we're going to go straight into women's round 4. Like you said, it still looks really fun, and we've had some amazing scores from the men, so I'm really looking forward to having the women out there.
So you were probably up at the commissioner's office and the girls were pounding on the door going, let's go?
Yeah, a little bit, and we've also been had all the girls out in this little left here as well. So, but we're really excited to have us out here today, and we had some great performances straight up from the women. So we're looking forward to closing out the day with us as well.
Well, there you have it. We're going to be running into the women's.
Bring it on, Pete, because we have an amazing first heat of the 4th round established with Courtney Conlog and Tyler Wright fighting it out for a spot in the quarters, and it's a replay of last year's final here at the Roxy Pro. Courtney, she's been sharp. Tyler, she could play spoiler. Just the steely nerve of Courtney Conlog. Can she hang in there and maintain the lead on the Jeep leaderboard? As we see John really starting to have some fun out here now. Loses control of that one, but he's well out in front. A heat score total of 16.8. Matt Wilkinson with work to do.
See John obviously feeling it now, totally freed up. So the handcuffs are off. He's just letting it rip, and that is a scary place for him because that's when he just starts to plant everything he goes for. It's a big test for Courtney. That next heat, Tyler, I would almost want to say she's kind of the favorite in that heat. I just have a feeling that she is going to go nuts.
It is pumping out there at the moment. Have a look at this. Matt Wilkinson, this might be his opportunity to get himself back in the heat. He is way deep. And that just hands control right over to John Florence, who really did switch gears in this heat under priority, landing a massive air reverse. And then took off on a beautiful wave and turned it into an 8.47. Just over 4 minutes to go. Plenty of time left for some last-minute heroics from Wilkinson. We'll be back with more right after the break. Welcome back to the Quicksilver Pro. The last heat of round 5 unfolding. John Florence has the lead. Matt Wilkinson, he needs to do something special here in the final stages if he wants a quarterfinal finish or quarterfinal place. But a big heat score total for John. He pulled some serious magic out halfway through this heat to take the lead. And here goes Wilkinson, looking to put himself back in it. Nice turn to get started. A fin blast straight into a backhand carve, mixing it up and drifting the tail once again, flicking his board right around. 2 minutes and 25 seconds to go. Is that going to be the number that helps Wilco cause a bit of an upset here?
That should break the combo for him, connecting with 3 solid maneuvers there. Look at the waves right now, firing. So hopefully for Matt, if he can get somewhere in that 7.75 range, which I'm guessing that's where that wave will be, he'll have a shot.
Well, he's only going to get back to the takeoff zone with probably around a minute remaining, and then he's going to have to really hope that one of those lulls doesn't set in, because John Florence is going to have priority. I thought that Matt Wilkinson, just the way the heat was panning out, was maybe going to be going into the final stages with priority. But John, Ross, you called it. He snuck onto the inside and turned a closeout into an excellent score.
Nice first turn there, showing that commitment. Blasting the fins free again. He loves to go for those big tail slides. And even just a more violent tail slide on the inside. So 2 big major moves. You never know. The judges might be really psyched on that and throw him an excellent score.
I think they have to throw him an excellent score based on the fact that John John's last ride went into the 8s, and it was a tidy air reverse and a nice combination of maneuvers, but Wilco had 2 big major turns on that ride.
2 big tail wafts. He loves that maneuver, doesn't he?
I love watching it. But still, for me, the turn of the heat is John John's big single maneuver on that closeout. That big air reverse, the way he came down from a great height and landed that thing was impressive. Well, there is the number for Wilco, an 8.7. So he's now chasing an 8.1 as we head into the final 40 seconds. And this was always going to be a bit of a worry for Wilco. Even though he's back out there at the takeoff zone, there's only 35 seconds to go. And there's been some big lulls in the last 25 minutes.
John John's so not the guy to kind of hound him. Look, he's so not concerned, but luckily for him, there's no waves coming in time for that 20 seconds. He should be safe. Great fight back, though, from Wilco.
Been surfing so well. You can tell that this new focus and this new fitter model of Matt Wilkinson is looking the goods for requalification. A 9th place finish here at the Quicksilver Pro. He's looking the goods heading down to Portugal, an event where he's had some success in the past. John Florence, well, he is going to move through to the quarterfinals and get ready for it. He's taking on Gabriel Medina.
It's a good show. So thankful to be in this seat. I mean, all day long it's been fireworks.
It sure has, and now we're now getting set for a replay of last year's final with Tyler Wright and Courtney Conlog fighting it out for a spot in the quarters in the 4th round of the Roxy Pro. We're going to go to a break. When we come back, Joe Topel and former world champ Martin Potter will step in for the call.